No, but if all three of you guys throw bricks at me at the same time, like it's going to be
Listen,
much
we've been
harder.
shoveling bricks for years. We can fling those things 30, 40 feet.
I'm sure. I'm loving it.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored.
God, this is like whoever's watching on the video. It's gonna be like there's Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's. Like, yeah, usually we do our show at 5 a.m. So.
Red Bull, Burger King, Aruda's Dairy.
Dunkin' Donuts today, though. Buy one, get one. It's National Coffee Day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So you guys went separate?
No.
No, I didn't.
They didn't give me that discount, so I don't know what happened. It
Well,
had to be like
they-
hot coffee, and it had to be like very
It had to be hot
specific.
coffee. Had to be the exact same size.
Oh, wow.
Can't
Okay.
get like a flavor in it. Or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Happy
It's very-
Coffee Day.
So,
Right.
you know,
Happy National Coffee Day. By the way, we have the lowest quality coffee you can get. Buy one, get one free.
So for those of you who
That
hear
hard?
that random voice that you never heard before, that is Kurtis Hall. He is our special guest today, coming at us all the way from New York. I'm just gonna say New York, you know. Kurtis Hall is a youth pastor, a father, a husband, and a professional gamer. And let me tell you, I just met Kurtis just a couple days ago, and great human being, a pleasure to be around. Kurtis, what's up?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I don't know about the whole pro gamer thing, but we're working on that.
do you get paid?
Um, Well,
Do you try to get paid?
We try to get paid at semi-pro.
semi. Yeah, I would say semi-pro.
All right, so
Probably more
semi-pro
accurate.
gamer. My apologies. I'll change the notes.
That's okay.
Eric acts like we prepared for this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, from upstate New York. I am from the Horseheads, Elmira area, which is somewhere in between Rochester and Buffalo, and Syracuse. I'm like
Right
in the middle. So,
What do you mean, New York's not just a city?
no, there is a part of New York that actually has grass and trees and cows.
It's actually a large part.
That isn't
You
called
don't-
Central Park.
You don't have to lie to the people. It's okay. We're interesting enough without lying.
I hear you. Yeah, so glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Oh, hey, what did JC say? He was something like, if it wasn't short of like Madison Avenue, then it's not New York.
Is that what he was saying?
He was saying something like
The train stops
Yeah.
here, and if it ain't in there, it's not New York. All right, dude.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know what we didn't do?
What's that?
What's up? This is a life podcast.
Oh, we would get to that eventually, you know?
You act like we do that any other day. Like we come in like block 3 and say, "Hey, what's up?" This is
Welcome to the Life Podcast. My name is Eric, and I'm here with Benji,
Hello.
Tyler, and Kurtis Hall.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Perfect. Oh, Kurtis. So, what are you doing in town?
Nothing.
Absolutely
That's a great
nothing.
question.
Actually, we're doing all the things.
All the things. No, so Tyler and I met a few years back in the lobby of my church at a conference, and he's been out to New York a couple times, and it was my turn to come out and get to meet his posse, including you and. He's okay with Benji, but
I
and-
understand.
and, Tyler's girlfriend and just Paul and those guys. So just really wanted to get out here and meet you guys. And I'm in life transition right now, changing jobs and such. So, it was just an opportune time to.
Your
come
first
on
time out here?
Yeah,
Yeah?
first time in
Oh, I didn't know that.
Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. Welcome.
Yeah.
Shoot, I didn't know that was your first time. Have you visited any other states or just like New York? Oh, I know you came from Florida, so there's
Yeah,
that.
I've been up and down the East Coast several times. Stayed in North Carolina, South Carolina, those kind of things. And I've been out to Colorado once. So, but never come east. So
Fair enough. Oh.
Do you remember that time in Colorado, or is that just like a blur?
no, I remember.
Was it far out, man?
Nice. Oh man. So, well, talk to me, Kurtis. What you say you're going through a life transition,
Sure.
but I don't really want to get too into that yet. But like, talk about like your roots, where you came from, who was Kurtis?
Yeah, so grew up in Horseheads, where I currently live,
Mm-hmm.
and was very, with my parents, very sports focused, very athletic focused, and my brother and I both played soccer at a high level.
Soccer, number one
And
sport.
I ended up blowing my knee out my junior year of high school,
Oh
and
wow.
lost a whole bunch of D1 scholarships, and
Mm-hmm.
went through the 19-year-old like breakup with a girl, and
Mm-hmm.
so I ended up piecing out and moving down to Florida. My cousin owned a house down there that he only lived in like 3 months of the year, so he was like, "Hey, you can live here and for no charge," and I was all right, cool.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
deal.
I got my national certification in coaching and went down and coached a AAA girls high school team in Florida, in Punta Gorda, and Benji thinks that's way
No,
funnier
just the way
than it
that
is.
you said it. It's like Punta Gorda. like okay.
In Punta Gorda.
Yeah.
In opposed to your punta not being gordo, like
Right. So yeah, got to
This is a family-friendly show, everyone. I'm gonna have to change the rating on this specific episode.
We're gonna have to bleep something out for the first time. There we go.
but so yeah, lived down there for 4 years, moved back up to Horseheads, met my wife, my now wife, the day that I moved back. We got married a year and 1 day later, and I've got 2 kids, and yeah, doing it. in Horseheads.
Why a year and 1 day? Like what like legitimately or just
Like legit, yeah. So we met October 5th. We got married October 6th the next year. And the only reason we didn't get married on October 5th is because it was a Friday.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
Fair enough.
Weddings just don't work as well on Fridays.
I mean, you wasted no time. I mean, talking about cultivating a culture, like a culture of just doers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in good company, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you just know? That was just like,
Yeah, just knew. So it was pretty crazy. Like 3 weeks after, I was praying and just really felt like God just said like, "Hey man, this is gonna be your wife," and I was like, "Cool, sweet." So I'll tell her. And
Let me tell you something.
and so she was like, "Yeah, I don't know about that." And I was like, "If we get out of this car," and it was a bright sunny day, and this is like 3 or 4 weeks after we met. She's like, "If I get out of this car and there's a rainbow over that hill, I'll marry you." And we pull into the church. We get out of the car, and there was not just one rainbow, but 2 rainbows, as clear as day. No rain in sight over top of the hill that she pointed to when we were driving to the church. And she was like, and now she's stuck with me. So
no, yeah, if I've ever seen a sign, that's one.
right.
That's great. Oh, well, so that's actually a really cool story. So what do you do for work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So
I don't know.
Hey,
I know not on mic, but that was like, I don't know.
yeah, well, I mean, neither do I.
Well, yeah, Eric and I don't have much better of a response to that question either.
We have a business. What do you do? Well, what do you need?
Right,
Basically.
So I was overseeing a building project that my church was doing, and I'm recently stepped down from that role, and I am stepping into a new job with a commercial construction inspection company.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be getting my certification to inspect concrete and steel work and that kind of stuff, commercial buildings.
Yeah.
Tyler's got some nice concrete if you want to inspect it.
Ape, concrete in the backyard for days.
I know you got concrete in the backyard, but
It's a nice piece of concrete.
it's an illegal table. I don't think the table on the concrete passes inspection.
So if anybody's caught some of our vlog episodes, I don't know if you've seen my nice piece of concrete in the backyard. I have an illegal table back there. It's an inside table outside.
Yeah.
Does that really make it illegal?
And she is legitimately on her last leg.
Legitimately?
No,
dude, there's one leg that's not even bolted in. Like, I don't know how this thing's standing up still.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that thing got wrecked.
It also hasn't faced a Massachusetts winter yet.
Oh,
so
no,
it
listen.
will not survive the winter.
We should just burn it.
We're burning it.
But yeah, so transitioning into that, I am an ordained pastor, and really just kind of feel called to maybe plant a church and kind of go that direction at some point in the near future. So
Absolutely. So we all go through like transitional phases in our lives, where we get to a point where like things just change. People around you, the people around you change and everything else. What? That was that was solid.
9.8.
So we talk a lot about like keeping the 5 closest people in your life and keeping a good eye on those people because they influence you the most. Did you see the people in your life change as you like, especially during this process that you're transitioning right now? Like, what do you see the people around you like? Anything different, or has it just been always the same people for the last?
No, so for sure. I mean, 3 years ago, obviously, Tyler came into the fold, and Tyler and I started becoming close. And I would consider him now at this point like one of those 5 core people in my life. And anytime like you have a major transition or a shift from one place to another, whether it's a church to another church or a job to another job, like you always kind of see who your real friends are. There's a lot of people that have, I'm your friend because I can get something out of you type of people.
Yeah.
I'm your friend because we're in proximity with one another. And then I'm your friend because I want to be your friend. Right.
Yeah.
I'm your friend until you stop doing what I want you to do.
Yeah. So, I've always kind of looked at it as like, there's 4 types of people in our lives. There's pests, which obviously are the annoying ones, right? Then you have, the people that persecute you, which are the people that are outright against you. Like it's clear, their Facebook trash talks you. They're very outward. But then you have, you've got your passerbyers, I like to call them. And those are the people that like, okay, I'm going to do a season of life with you, but I'm aware that our life is not going to be spent together. Right. And then there's the partners. The people like I would consider Tyler in my life that no matter where he is in the country, no matter where I am in the country or in the world,
there's legal documentation as a domestic partnership.
Got to get those tax benefits, boys.
Jesus.
That's not true.
Seeing that we're on the tangent here and we're talking about transitioning, my preferred pronouns are Z, Zer, and Zim. So from this point on in the podcast, I would prefer Z, Zer, Zim. Thank you.
That is...
Continue.
We will probably not be addressing Mr. Z anytime soon. Thank you. But yeah, so I've it hasn't been as hard for me the transition with the change in relationships because I have a few solid relationships. But it has been difficult, just for my family as a whole. I have two kids. So, obviously some of these people that we've done life with for 5, 6, 7, 8 years are now kind of pushing themselves away from us because we're suddenly we're the bad guy.
Outcast.
Or, we're the ones that are leaving or we're the ones that are quitting too soon or, whatever the case may be. And
that's hard.
So it's more difficult, probably for my wife. And, I have a almost 6-year-old daughter who is like, where's all my friends? All these kids that she's grown up with.
You never had any.
And we're not talking about you today, man.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, sorry, I'm projecting.
He's projecting. So the transition in itself, has been interesting.
You can't say that word around Tyler, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still laughing at that?
Yeah, I was stuck on that last joke.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting how, staying steadfast and staying consistent through it really kind of takes you to that next level faster. Because it is easy. It is easy to sit and maybe even trash talk the people that are exiting from your life.
Yeah.
But it's also it's just as easy to wake up and just be like, I'm excited for whatever's next.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a mental thing. It's you have to consciously decide what's coming. There was one thing I don't remember where exactly I saw it, but I think it was a video, and it was an interview of an Olympic gold medal, an Olympian who was about to compete, and the interviewer asked her, "Are you nervous and she turned and said to them, like, being nervous and being excited are actually the same feeling.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of your brain and how it interprets it.
Yeah.
So it's either you're excited about what's about to happen or you're nervous about it, but it's the same feeling. It's up to you to decide which one you want to feel.
Sure.
So, yeah. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go ahead and continue this conversation with Kurtis, and stay tuned.
We would like to thank Anchor for sponsoring and hosting the Life podcast. So who are Anchor and what do they do? Anchor is the all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to make and publish your podcast. And best of all, it's all free. Anchor allows you to use their creative tools to record and edit your podcast. No need for any fancy professional equipment. Sounds amazing, right? And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Anchor isn't just a recording and editing platform. They're a publisher too. This means that Anchor takes care of all of the hard stuff, like publishing to Apple and Google Podcasts, so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Another thanks to Anchor for hosting, publishing, and sponsoring the Life podcast. We're back, and amazingly, Kurtis has not left the podcast studio.
Imagine that. Woo! You're officially the second guest we've had.
Is that true? Oh, yeah.
Officially, yeah.
Let's go.
It's funny because this is like later in the day, and this is like the most low key, like low energy podcast that we've had.
Yeah, we try to overcompensate at 5 a.m.
Because let's go.
I'm
Hi,
also
guys.
like,
We never left.
this is like not. I'm like, what's this mic doing in my face?
Yeah, it's a little bit. You got to get comfortable, especially hearing yourself in the headphones too. A little bit of an adjustment. So.
It's the hot coffee versus the cold coffee. That's what we messed up. It's
Yeah.
got to be the hot stuff.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
We've only had 3 shots of espresso today, not 7 like yesterday. So we're just.
You gotta. Those are rookie numbers. You gotta put that number on.
Yeah, Tyler, 7 shots of espresso. I think you ended up topping that because you had more.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think you
so
had
so we'll do my coffee consumption or caffeine consumption as of yesterday. We had a jam-packed, action-packed day because we had to, make up for time lost with Kurtis. So
Don't put the blame on anyone else.
He rolled in Friday night. Well, I would say Saturday morning. It was like 10:12 at night.
Yeah.
He ended up coming in. So we stayed up. Obviously, we caught up, relaxed a little bit, talked, stayed up till like almost 2.
Mm-hmm.
Went to bed. I woke up at 8:30 in the morning. Went over to the local bakery, and I got 2 little lattes, 2 Portuguese lattes, and some Portuguese bread and cheese and whatever. Went back. So that's 1 latte, one espresso shot.
Shaboom.
Boom. So a little bit of time goes by. I had a haircut appointment for 9:30. We go downtown, get our haircuts, leave there, stop at a local establishment. We won't name them because naming's for sponsors.
Jeez. That was aggressive.
No, we went
You
to,
have a color in their name.
yeah, and rhymes with Speenfiend. So went over to the local cafe. I ended up getting a double shot with some cream in it. So caffeine count 3 espresso shots at about 10 o'clock in the morning. We go a little while longer. We end up going home. Our buddy Jose was awake by then. We had breakfast with Jose. We were talking to Jose. Jose worked all night. He got out at like 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a little package of Red Bull in the fridge, a 4-pack.
Mm-hmm.
Jose's like, "Hey, Tala, I can has one of your Red Bulls, please." I said, "Yes, you can has one of my Red Bulls, please."
That is how Jose talks.
It is
can
funny.
confirm.
Jose, we love you. I'm just playing with you. He faithfully listens to the podcast. So he had a Red Bull. Kurtis was like, I feel awkward now that we're sitting at this table. I gotta crack a Red Bull too.
Yeah.
And I felt extra awkward because there's 2 people now with 2 open Red Bulls on the table. It's like, when in Rome,
Yeah.
I guess we're just gonna have to send it. So
Red Bull it is.
That was a full send.
So 3 espresso shots, Red Bull. It's about 12 o'clock
Red
o'clock
Bull is
now.
also not a sponsor.
Yeah, right. Pet Boys. It's where the pet. No, that's Petco. Where the pets go.
Pet Boys, Petco, it's all the same,
Don't
right?
send your pets to pet.
All right, making up time. Going real quick. Went to Seacon. Saw Becky at Starbucks. Surprisingly, did not get coffee at Starbucks. Went over to Chick-fil-A, the Lord's Chicken House. Had our sins absolved with a 4-piece chicken nugget. I watched those. I watched those chicken nuggets down with a Dr. Pepper. There's some more caffeine there.
Jeez.
Leave. Go grab Becky because she was done with her shift at Starbucks. Go out to a place called the Coffee Exchange in Providence, which has like really really bougie coffee. There I had a espresso macchiato, which is 2 shots of espresso with a little bit of like foam on top.
Yeah.
So that's 5 espresso shots and a Red Bull.
5 shots
All right,
Red
time
Bull
out.
and a
Time out.
DP.
You're gonna continue that. This is where I made up with these guys. Okay.
Okay.
And I see Tyler, and the first thing he says, he opens up the thing. What does this smell like? He pulls coffee and just coffee beans in my face, and just like, what does this smell like? And I was like, coffee. And he's like, blueberry.
It's blueberry, lemon, and whatever the other subtle floral aromatic notes are on the coffee bean. It wasn't flavored. It was just like whatever the bean like
Fair enough.
produced. But anyways, so I was sitting there. I had that espresso macchiato. We were walking through downtown Providence, just hanging out, and I was popping those coffee beans that I bought like they were going out of style, eating them candy. I did a big one. I did it big yesterday, boys. We do that. Eric ends up showing up. By that time, I decided, you know what, I am over caffeinated. I need to just chill until dinner. So I said, guys, hold me accountable not to have any more coffee until dinner.
Now, meanwhile, this is only like 3 hours, so like this is not.
Yeah, it's not even like
It was 3 hours until dinner time. So like, hey, start with the small stuff.
Yeah.
So we go to dinner. We have some Portuguese food at a Portuguese restaurant. Top off the dinner with another double espresso. So that's 7 shots of espresso and a Red Bull in a day, boys.
And a Dr. Pepper.
And a Dr. Pepper. Send it home. Anyways, carry on.
You're not addicted if you never stop.
That's how I was rolling. You don't have withdrawals if you don't stop.
Yeah.
You might not have withdrawals, but you might be addicted.
So just to put this into perspective, it took over 6 minutes for Tyler to explain how much coffee that he had. Like that's how much coffee was consumed
In one single day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't include the, yeah.
Did you have some of the tiramisu that I had? Because that has caffeine
Yes,
in it.
I did.
The tiramisu.
We're sharing
was-
mics, so I'm trying to
That
compensate by
was
screaming.
subpar.
So it was good. I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I didn't try it, so we'll keep it that way.
Well, you
didn't
didn't want
miss
any.
out.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, that was fun.
Plastic and the rice threw you off.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Oh,
that'll throw anybody right
These
off.
things happen.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right. Well,
What are we talking about?
we're talking about transitioning from
Caesar's
coffee
Zone.
to friends.
Transitioning from coffee to friends.
I'll be there for you.
I'm glad you fit it right into the musical part of this because we accidentally make music all the time, or sing music, shall I say?
Most of
You
it
do
is
not own
bad.
the rights to this song.
No, absolutely not. So
You'll get a bill from Sony for $15,000.
probably, yeah. Don't say it too loud.
15,000. That's just for mass. Yes. But listen, we can't even get into that story. We're not gonna talk about anything productive today if we do.
All right. Well, before the break, a long time ago, we were talking about the people in our lives and how there's 4 categories of people that you categorize, and I agree with them. And one of the categories you talked about was the passerbyers. And these are the people that are just there for a season of your life, and then then you guys move on, split ways, and continue on your paths. Have you ever found people that should have been passerbyers, but maybe didn't realize there was just a season and they tried staying longer and in a way overstayed their welcome?
Sure. I think we see that a lot. Especially with like jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for someone to just settle in a place. And I don't believe that we're supposed to live like comfortable lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think it probably goes for all of us in this room, but a lot of people that'll be listening to this are like, what?
Yeah.
Well, we had an episode 2 episodes back. We talked about 4 different states of comfort and happiness and how they relate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best ones, the ones that I choose. I mean, as long as there was comfortable and happy, uncomfortable and happy, uncomfortable and unhappy, and comfortable and unhappy.
Sure.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, but continue what you're saying.
Yeah, I think even in regards to that, like, being uncomfortable and happy is part of the state of your mind, so, but a lot of people tend to settle. rather than take the risk or do the thing that's going to take you to the next level in your life. And that goes for anything, right? Like, well, I want to be a high-level athlete. Well, to be a high-level athlete, like, you have to get up at 5 a.m. and train, and then you have to eat right, and then you have to train some more, and you have to get enough sleep, and and a lot of people aren't willing to take the next step in their life to take themselves to the next level.
Absolutely.
So I see, we see oftentimes passerbyers, I mean, people that are in their mid-30s that refuse to get a job and want to live in their parents' basement for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be passerbyers in that sense to our parents.
Yeah.
Our parents give us those 18 to 22 years of life when we, maybe you decide to go to college and you push through those 4 years and you just need a bed to sleep in when college is shut down kind of thing. But like, we're not meant to stay in the comfortable place.
Absolutely.
Right. And so often, you see the people that latch on to the thing, and they refuse to let go because letting go is scary. Right? It can be.
Yeah, talk about it.
Change can be scary. And we have a culture that has been so indoctrinated with fear of change. But really what people don't understand is change is what drives culture forward. So actually culture begins to die when people aren't willing to take risks. So passerbyers actually become pests if they don't pass by like they're supposed to.
We were using that example. It's like the person that gives you a hug and you're just giving them a quick hug so you can leave, and they do like that creepy like hand linger swipe like all the way down your arm, like touching your fingertips. It's like yo, oh. That went from like passerby to pest real quick.
But I mean, that's actually, I really love the way you explain that. How do you recognize that if you're becoming I think I have an idea of as far as depends on your level of comfort, I think is what it comes down to. But how would you explain, like, how would you recognize that you're becoming the pest, or when you're supposed to move on? Yeah,
so I think obviously the pest and the persecutor are they fall into maybe the negative spectrum of things, and the passerby and the partner fall into the positive spectrum. So what we see so often is, you have these people that are maybe they're partners, but less people are going to be there, but are those passerbyers, and they begin to fall into the negative category of your life, right? So a passerby comes in, and maybe they're there for a month or 6 months or a year, or even maybe 5 or 6 years or 10 years of your life, right? And they're there to encourage, and they're there to build up. They're there to link arms with you and maybe build the wall that's in front of you. But when the project or the mission is complete, and they stay too long, right? That's when all of a sudden now they've become a hindrance, right? Like, now I'm trying to move on to the next task that they're not supposed to task with me, but they're trying to do it anyways, right? So oftentimes you find these people, like, they are, they get in your way, right? They become annoying, right? They ask you irrelevant questions more regularly than not.
No, I thought you were pointing at me to be like, yeah, that's what Benji does. No, but we talk about all that. We talk about that all the time with the concept of like being net negative.
Sure.
Like, you have people in your life who are net positive, who are net zero, and are net negative. And it's like, you have to strip away the net negative people if you want to benefit from the net positive people.
Sure.
And that's not easy all the time. Sometimes those people are the people that you've been with, like, for the past 5-10 years, who have really become a part of you. So we have to be very aware of, like, when you're giving yourself away too much.
Sometimes like you, especially in the olden days when they were traveling on the old wooden ships, if the weather started to get real rough and the ship started sinking, what would they do? Say, hey, we gotta dump the dead weight overboard. The minute things start to get a little messy, it starts to get a little swirly. It's like, nah, the dead weight has to come off, or else we're gonna go down with everybody.
Sure.
You know what I'm trying to say? Does that communicate?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a moment in people's lives where it's like, you can have some dead weight in some seasons of your life, and sometimes that's fine.
You can hammer
Sure.
down. No, it's okay. I don't need to be on mic for those.
Yeah, and it's like, and you can continue, and you can be still making progress with dead weight. But as soon as something happens in your life, you have to realize that dead weight is not helpful. It's like you can afford to have some every once in a while, but most of the time when you're having struggles, you need to start cutting away that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the 1 in 12 model is kind of what I like to look at. You know, if 1 out of every 12 people that you would consider a piece of your circle is negative, right, then you're going to be okay. But as soon as you allow it to increase more than the 1 out of the 12, then it's going to become a negative pulling factor, right? Because negativity breeds negativity, you know, and it only takes 1. You know, 11 versus the 1 is kind of like, well, you need to shut up, dude, because you're being annoying again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when they have someone to partner with, another negative, you know, being or spirit or whatever you want to call it, like, then it just becomes obnoxious.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to just keep.
It's up to you guys.
Well, yeah, we're going to take another break here, and we're going to dig even deeper into this because this is a fun conversation. So stay tuned.
I got 13 kids or whatever it was, and I was like, oh, Eric wants 7. And Eric's like, don't speak that over my life.
Don't speak those things over my life. Listen, I can attest, you don't want 7.
No, absolutely. I cap out at 2.
I've been saying it for a while. Like, you want to teach kids about birth control? You send them to
Send them to my house.
send them to Kurtis's house. Spend a week with a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And
Change
you'll
your
know how
mind
bad
real
you want
quick.
kids.
The 6-year-old and the 2-year-old, they both have my energy and my wife's attitude, and it is a dangerous combination.
But you know, your kids are great though. This isn't like a testimony.
Oh,
Like
I
a
hear
testimony
you.
of it. Your kids are bad.
I love
It's
my
just,
kids.
oh my! like I said, you want to teach a kid about birth control? Send them there for a week. We'll give Kurtis like $10,000. taking 10 different individual kids. It'll be worth it.
$1,000. You can stay with Kurtis and his family for 1 week.
Well, it's like, you know, kids got
Gotta
like
make money.
Kids cost more than $1,000.
kids. Yeah, they do. Kids are like full of energy with none of the social constructs to stop them from utilizing it.
Yeah.
So like that's a perfect combination. That's like a perfect storm right there. It's like imagine everything you want to do with no social limitations. It's all like you'd just be running around screaming all the time.
I'd be pulling my diaper down every second I could.
There you go.
already do that.
I have no comment.
All right, let's bring this back. So we've been talking about people in your life and the different
Eric's like
types of-
buffering.
yeah, I'm still trying to like remove the diaper comments and stuff.
Eric's like a visual person. He's like picturing.
Derek. Derek has nightmares with the seven babies' diapers all over the place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh
Yes.
God. Anyways, so we're talking about the people in our lives and the people that maybe have been there for too long, or the people that are inspiring you now, but maybe won't be inspiring you in 5 years. You don't know. Sure. So how did those, like, let's say the passerbyers, and we were talking on the break how like sometimes they turn into, like, you know, it's fine when there's just one person, but then all of a sudden there's 2, and now they've like really become pests.
Sure.
How does that affect you? How does that affect the person around, like you as the person? What kind of like things come out of that?
Yeah, so I think, you know, as people just move through life, you know, there's only so much negativity that we can withstand in any given moment, right? So, you know, I mean, if you throw a brick at me, I can probably dodge it, right?
Yeah.
Game over with the shovel, boys.
But a shovel full of bricks.
But a shovel full of bricks. No, but if all 3 of you guys throw bricks at me at the same time, like, it's going to be
Listen,
much
we've been
harder.
shoveling bricks for years. We can fling those things 30, 40 feet.
I'm sure. But
These are all inside jokes.
inside
he's
joke,
regretting it
I
so
am
much.
not in the loop right now. If you throw a baseball at me, let me change the word.
Yeah.
We're high end sports fans over here.
That is not
I'll
true.
I'll score all the goals.
Yeah. Tyler's like, Tom Brady hit a 3-pointer today.
Anyways, let's stay on topic.
But no, you know, it's one of those things, like, you know, again, the 1-12 rule is one of those things that I kind of try to live by in that regard, and I flush people out relatively quick that don't fall in line with a partner or passerby. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean I'm unkind to them, right? But we have to choose. We only have 24 hours in a day. So we have to choose the people and the things and the places that we're going to spend that time with in our day.
Yeah.
And, again, I can handle a counseling session a couple days a week with somebody that is, maybe transitioning from the pest to a passerby or a pest to a partner, because sometimes the pests can become the best partners in our lives, right? What it just takes is some maturity and some time to kind of grow that and take their gifts and call them out rather than allow them to focus on the negative. Because I'm almost 30, and when you first meet me, you're like, oh yeah, but then you hear like potentially some of my life story, and you're like, man, how are you so positive? And I'm like, well, there's a few reasons, obviously, but it's one of those things that, like, I had to work through the process of getting to the place I am now.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to be willing with the pests to work through the process to get them to that place of, to be the passerby or the partner, but yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a decision too.
Sure.
You have to decide that you want to be the passerby or in someone's life, or even a partner. It's also a decision to be a pest.
Sure.
I love how you just connected all of them and saying, like, you can become with time and maturity and just being able to cultivate just the positive sides of people. Now we're talking about, like, they're in your life, and how do you said that you're very quick to, like, cut people off in a way. You know what I mean? Or just what would be your?
I agree.
Benji just looks, my boy.
Where is your? How would you explain to someone else that's, like, struggling with this right now? Like, where is your, like, how do you determine? Where is your measuring stick, so to speak, to find out where people are in your life?
I think the important thing is, me being married, my wife and I have to set boundaries for our family. We have to set, that's it. And I think that's what it all comes down to. Now, I have a wife, so we heed to one another.
Absolutely.
Right? So we discuss, like, okay, these are our family's boundaries, because I have a much higher tolerance of people maybe than she does at times, right? But I have to find that place, like, okay, now I have to keep my wife safe in this, right? Because I'd let whoever come over to my house. Like, I just, like, you mess with my family, I'm going to hurt you, but, like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But she's like, hang on. We got little kids that can be influenced by these people and who they are.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably a good idea.
This is why we're together.
Expose our children to this. But I think a lot of it comes down to, like, setting those boundaries in your life.
Absolutely.
If you want to be successful, right, you have to have a standard, and your standard is the place that you will live. Right. And now, can our standards raise? For sure. Some people have wildly unrealistic standards, right? But when you can't have goals until you have a standard, right?
A lot of times, you're talking about standards and boundaries and borders, which are just all amazing things, and we've had plenty of episodes. If you've been following along with us, we've talked about all these things in separate episodes. Boundaries really keep you safe, but when you're talking about standards, a lot of people take standards synonymously with expectation, and that's not true. You can have high standards, you can have good standards, and a lot of people will lump expectation that people will want to meet those standards or can meet those standards, and that's when standards will get dangerous or toxic and disappointing, because it'll be like, oh, I can't find anybody who can hop to this bar, or like, oh, this person tried and they failed. It's like, if you didn't go in with the expectation first off, I mean, you set those standards for a reason. If you're walking through them too, then, I mean, obviously they're possible to reach. If you're not, then you're a hypocrite. Or you have unrealistic expectations, or
you'll be let down a lot.
Right, you'll be let down a lot.
Yep.
But even so, it's like, if you go in with expectation coupled with your standards, you're probably in for a bad time.
We talk about the idea of standards being universal, where it's like the idea that the difference between a standard and an expectation is that standards are the basic requirements for both yourself and the people around you. Where it's all like, I can have expectations that for myself are higher than for other people, but standards should be universal, where it's all like, okay, if I say that Eric can't steal, that means that I also can't steal. And then, like, that's just the standard that I have. Or, like, all of the people around me, no matter if they're my friend or if they're this is the level that they have to be operating at for them to continue to operate in the spheres that I operate in. Then from there, you can have expectations that say, okay, because Eric is my one of my best friends, he has a higher expectation about him. You know, that type of system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agree. That's good.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually a great way to do that. So I think it's awesome that we all have like these standards of what we want to let people in, and these are pretty much the measuring sticks that we use for everybody in our lives to make sure that if they don't meet those standards, and that's just not in a like a selfish way, but just like if you're a thief, you know, I can't, or you become a thief in the process of our friendship, I can't keep you around me because like you were saying, like you speak about your children and not getting that influence. I think that's even outside of being a child, you still take an influence. You know, and being around that kind of energy, you might absorb some things that you probably didn't really want to absorb and not even realize it. And you have to be very aware of yourself, and becoming aware, I think, is a big step towards, you know, essentially keeping the people away that you don't that aren't helping you anymore. Yeah. So that was awesome. All right. I guess from there, any advice for the people that are listening?
Yeah, I mean, practically, you know, I think that it's important to continually self-evaluate yourself, first off, right? All right, am I living up to the person that I wanted to be 10 years ago, or have I allowed myself to become a product of the environment that I'm in, right? Because like you said, you know, if you're around negativity enough, negativity will influence you in some way.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think the first step is to take that and do that self-evaluation. I think second, you have to evaluate the environment, which includes the people, right? I mean, and the turtles. Probably not the turtles so much. I mean, you don't want to hurt the turtles, you know, but
it might.
You know, I think that, like, so often we give our own families leeway.
Talk about it.
In being that negative environment holder that surrounds us. And I'm going to tell everyone right now that it is 100% appropriate to cut out any and all negative influences in your life.
Absolutely.
Whether it be the brother you grew up with, whether it be your toxic, abusive mom or dad, whether it be, I mean, you fill in the blank, right? And I have had to personally make some of those hard decisions just in these past couple of weeks of people that I am cutting off from seeing my children without my wife or I being there, right? Or people that will not be babysitting my kids that have babysat my kids for years. Because it is so, again, it all comes down to if I want to set myself up, right? But now I have a responsibility to set my kids up as well as a parent for greater success, right? So I want to set my 2-year-old son up for success, and that starts now, not when he's 14.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the things that he experiences now, the things that I experience now when I'm 30 are going to affect me when I'm 50. Right. And so I want to live my life with as little trauma and drama now so that I can be successful in the things that I feel I am called and asked to do.
That's awesome.
We talk about a lot on this show, this little joke, like you got to pull for you. And this idea that everybody pulls to their own side, and that's really the only thing that you have to be worried about. And that whole speech was that concept. Yeah. That's the core of that concept. The idea that it's like, listen, as long as you're operating in a way that you feel is effective and is
meeting
legitimate,
your own standard,
meeting your own standard of morality and ethics and all of those things, as long as you're operating in that way, the way that other people deal with that is not your problem. Yeah. It's like if you need to cut off people who are net negative or who are toxic or who have issues with you as a person. How they react and how they respond to that is not any of your concern.
Sure.
And if you allow people's expectation or whatever it is, once the boundary is defined, first you have to have the boundaries clearly defined, because you can't get upset for somebody crossing a boundary that's never actually been defined if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
You make sure the boundaries are up, and then if they walk over the line, sometimes we mistake self-care for selfishness, and it's like you definitely have to take care of yourself too, because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anything else.
Absolutely.
So those net negative influences within your life that really just bring you down, cut them out.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Absolutely. The negative people in your life, they all start with you. Everyone's a mirror of ourselves. So you attract the people that you bring out when people leech on to what you're giving out. So if you give away negative energy, you're more likely to attract that negative energy in return. And misery loves company.
Whoa.
You know?
Yeah.
Whoa, bro.
For sure.
So just be very aware. So it all starts with you. And if you're giving off negative energy and you're not aware of it, you have to, like Kurtis was saying, you have to take that self-awareness test and just keep self-checking yourself to make sure that you're going with where you wanted to be. You have those goals. You set those goals like 10 years ago, and you're like, all right, this is who I want to be. Are you still going in that direction? Is it still where you want to be? You know, and if you are going in that direction, sometimes the people around you, the further you go towards your success, the more uncomfortable the people around you will get.
Yep.
So you have to be aware of that. So this is why the people around you constantly, well, not constantly, but will change. And only the real people, the partners, are the people who will be there and want to see you succeed.
We've talked a lot, and you brought up the quote from Chris Valentin, which he's a friend of the show here. We were talking about, like, people say it's so lonely at the top. It's like, well, you should probably made some friends while you were down there at the bottom, had some quality partners, so that you could pursue success together rather than do it rogue.
It's part of being intentional to build that strong core as you grow.
Yeah.
Because if you build the core right, if you build the foundation right, then everything built on top of it can withstand.
Yeah.
But and that core group of 3 to 5, people is so critical. And you don't have to have 3 to 5 when you're 22, but maybe you have 1 or 2 of them already. But you want to keep your eyes out for those kind of people, and because that's what it is. Because it can be lonelier at the top.
Do you have anything to send this episode home with?
I would just say, self-check, self-check regularly and just keep doing you.
Awesome. And that was Kurtis Hall, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this show. And until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Life Podcast. If you like the show, please rate us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out. If you feel like supporting us in a more direct way, you can check out our Patreon page linked in the description of this video. One last thing. Please let your friends know about the podcast. If you like the show, we're sure they'll like it too. If you'd like to reach out to us, send us an email at thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. We appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you next time. Okay, now let's have a little bit more fun with that, Benji. I don't like to have fun, Eric.